Hello and welcome to another episode of the People's Podcast. I am your host, Paul Vibes, local motivational speaker. Our show is all about spirituality, self-development, connection, wellness. Please be sure to subscribe and follow us on a variety of different social media pages. If you know somebody that would be a great guest to our show or sponsor, please reach out. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Paul Vibes here. I have a very exciting guest, exciting podcast here. We got Mark Meyer. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, everybody?
You're somebody we met actually at the Kava Bar, Island Kava in Patchogue, which is, as you know, it's like an amazing place to meet like-minded people, people who are into spirituality, entrepreneurs, just very open-minded people. Now, obviously, we can't connect in person there. But we've been talking for a while now to set up this Zoom call, and I'm very thankful and excited to have you on.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm excited to be here. We met in Kava, and I thought that was great. It was my first time there, and it was a fun exploration night for us. And it was one of the last nights we had while we were still able to be social. So I'm excited to get this party started. All aboard! Let's go.
We got all our little gadgets here. That's what I love about you, and we're gonna hear about your story in a second. But I just got to say, and the people that are watching this are gonna tell from just this podcast. But you have an exciting personality. You do all sorts of things. You're always, inviting people on different fun journeys and different opportunities, and I really appreciate that about you. You're always trying to take things to the next level and grow as an individual. But more importantly, and I even only known you for a short period of time now, you're always offering, great value and opportunity. So, thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. And thank you for having me.
No problem. So you do a lot of stuff, and honestly, I don't even know where to start. And I want to kind of put you on the spot and allow you to kind of tell us and the viewers the different aspects of your life and your journey. But yeah, tell us what you got. Look, even the back behind you, you got like a whole bunch of workstation there. Who knows what's going on? Before you were in the city. I don't know if you could throw back that backdrop on to mess with the viewers a little bit.
Could have a good time. We can go right back to the city.
Woo! Wow, you traveled quick.
It's amazing. And, it's unbelievable. I mean, if we wanted to go to a beach.
Wow.
Yeah, it's lovely. So I want to be authentic and be in the space that I actually work in. So I'm a work from home business. To share some story about myself. I'm 33 now, and I've always had a passion for the environment, and I've always enjoyed saving things, and especially antique and vintage items. I've always had a real interest in making money and saving items out of the landfill and making money along the way. So years ago, I remember it started, I began to fix up all old lawnmowers. And I quickly became like the go-to guy in the neighborhood for like lawnmowers when I was 14. And then after that, I progressed into starting buying things on eBay. And I realized quickly the more I bought, the cheaper things got. And I said, oh my God, if I could just have more money and scale this, I can go really far. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a digital reseller. What that looks like is that I buy things in bulk and then I sell them on the internet on platforms like eBay, Amazon, Mercari. We sell on Facebook Marketplace, in addition to Craigslist. And with this current pandemic, it's actually eBay and Amazon's been accelerating for us. So I'm excited to share some of my knowledge. We have a YouTube at Mark Meyer here, as well as an Instagram, and you can catch me there, and I'm excited. So Paul, what would you like to know today?
Well, I'm curious real quick. You mentioned how, business has been kind of, changing in this epidemic. How do you explain that? How is it changing? How is the environment changing for you as a reseller?
So as someone who sells things on the internet, we sell tools, electronics, jewelry, we sell vintage items, we sell repair parts. So for us, actually, some of the older items that we've had for a while have sold on the internet, and we were like, hey, why is this selling? And then we realized that people are fixing what they own at home. So we're starting to sell some of the repair kits we got out of the stores, and people are like collecting, and they have more time at home, and they can't go to an antique market, to a thrift shop. They have to go to eBay. So eBay sales have been ticking up. And the best part about that, a lot of my friends are unemployed right now, and they're calling me, asking me for support. So we're finding out ways to work remote and setting people up. That way they can sustain income. We can help the community, and things can still operate under the essential business order right now with Governor Cuomo.
Amazing. You seem like a fun guy to go thrift shopping with. And I know you're super busy. You got multiple businesses. You want to start creating a non-for-profit. And I'm surprised and thankful you still find time to call me and hang and to make things happen. And I appreciate that. But yeah, we totally got to go thrift shopping because I love thrift shopping. I have a whole album on Facebook of all my thrift shop finds over the years, but it's fun.
I think you'd love going thrift shopping with me. The challenge for me is when I go thrift shopping, I'm not really looking for one or two pieces. Generally, like when I go to buy, I'm like, all right, I'll take a pallet, I'll take a truckload. I try to buy thousands of items. The more you buy, the cheaper it gets.
Yes.
And with that, I love salvaging a lot of items that would not make it anywhere else. And there's a huge market. We have a saying, if you list it, they will come. And the pandemic and with online sales certainly has supported that idea.
It's fun because like who doesn't like that feeling of garage sales and getting a good deal and reselling or just getting something for a good price and being able to keep it if you have a different hobby. And I know even for myself, like when I started using Craigslist and eBay and just dabbled in it a little bit, I love looking up each Yu-Gi-Oh card and finding out how much they were worth and selling them and getting people call me from around the country to buy it for their kids. And then it is really amazing at one thing that you might look at as treasure to then finding someone that's willing to pay an absurd amount of money because they really want that particular item. That must be a cool kind of rush that you get.
Oh, it's a rush. It is definitely addictive, finding out what something's worth and realizing that, we're going to be able to pay some bills with this and make some money is an inspiring thing.
It's kind of like this, right? Kind of get that feeling, the light up, you get the light bulb.
Yes. It generally is more like a cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
And,
yes.
and yeah, so that's something that I look forward to. In addition, it feels really good when you can link a collector with something that he needs, or you sell something that someone's been looking for a long time. And we ship internationally. So something that we do, we offer shipping in 80 countries around the world. And there are many people that emailed me and say, hey, I've waited a long time for this part, and you're the only one that offered international shipping. So thank you. I got my truck back on the road. I got my part fixed. I got this. And that passion actually is what created the television show. And that's been a huge part of my life for about 7 years.
Yes, please. I wanted to ask about the show, but before I ask you about the show, I want to ask you, I've never actually asked you even this personally before. Out of all the stories, and I'm sure you have hundreds of stories even before you started your business and when you just kind of started this, was there ever a story of when you connected somebody with something that they've been looking for? And it wasn't even about the money. It was just like the whole experience of reuniting someone with something that they may have been looking for a long time. Or do you have any cool stories that kind of relates to that you could share?
100%. So I've returned everything from suitcases to class rings, and I'm excited to share that. Like the best story I have is really class rings. So I'm a dealer in auctions. I go to auctions, I buy stuff. So we deal in liquidations, bankruptcies, short sales, and we come across a massive amount of inventory. And I also go to police auctions. And what happens is I find things like, I'm actually excited you asked this question.
Me too.
So things like class rings.
Wow.
And the interesting thing about class rings, they have their name and their year. So it's not that hard to find them. And the best story that I have is we found a military ring 2 years ago, and we actually connected it back to the major who had the ring. And he went to a Citadel College, which is the South's version of West Point, and it's a famous military school. And we connected it and returned it free of charge for the Marine. And I'm excited to have had that story. He is overseas fighting in special forces, and he was able to be reconnected to his class ring, in which he lost it. It was stolen in Paris at Disneyland, and somehow wound up in a New York City like box at a flea market, and we wound up being able to return that to the owner. So something like that is really passionate, and I can share photos with you of that. And he
Please,
was a
I'll put in
really
the
cool
video.
guy. And yeah, it was pretty amazing. The military kind of told me I can't tell anyone about that story until about 6 months ago. Yeah, they finally said I can go public with it. And the gentleman Todd was a really wonderful, gentleman, and I appreciated him for his service. So we gave that back to him free of charge. And it was 10 karat gold, and that's something that was definitely near and dear to his heart.
Wow. And for you to do that, and let's be honest, not everybody in your shoes would have done that, and we know that, but you could have easily have turned around and, melted that back into gold and sold that. But for you to take the time to reunite him with that ring,
Yeah.
man, that's good stuff.
Yeah. To also share, so those rings from the Citadel, every year, if a classmate passes on, they ask the family if they would like to take the ring and add it to that year's gold melt for the students who are graduating.
That's cool.
So that way they can pass the torch emotionally and physically, spiritually. The rings get passed down and melted so that each of the classmates hold a small amount of gold from the fallen soldier. Yeah, it was really deep.
That is cool, man. I don't think we can get another cooler story than that. Perfect.
Yeah, I got him. I got him. And you're gonna have to go to YouTube and check that out. And I'm excited to post more stories. As this pandemic hits, I've had a lot more time to do social media. So
yeah, and please,
I'm excited
I think
to have time with you.
Yeah, we could definitely set up more podcasts. But speaking of this kind of finding treasure and reuniting and this kind of passion and love that you have for doing this, tell us about the thing that you hinted before about the reality show that you got involved in that was a major part in your life.
So when I was 22, 23, I had my business coach contact me, and he told me that there was a job offer up in New York for what he said it looked like someone wrote your resume. And I had done the bankruptcy auctions, and I bought exclusively at police liquidations, and like we dealt in like missed property or stolen property, and that was released into the public, court ordered cases, seizures, like the big top stuff. And my coach called me. I went to what was a casting call. Didn't know what a casting call at that age was. And 130 people tried out. 4 got picked, and I was among one of them, selected to be my own team. So Baggage Battles is on Travel Channel, and that is it's been off air for about a year, and it's actually on air in many other countries around the world. And they just released our 5th season recently, which Discovery had bought Travel Channel in the last year. So they've been hyping it back up to potentially release it back in the United States. There's over 60 episodes that we did over a span of 5 to 7 years. And I'm just blessed and grateful, humbled to be able to travel internationally and film professionally, as well as the reality show that's on the idea and on the business of buying and selling, finding treasures where people have overlooked them, and then highlighting them, cleaning them up, and shipping them out to somebody who really wants to own it.
That's cool. That's a whole experience there, man. Now, can it be found online or not currently?
Yeah, it can be found online. I would really recommend you check it out on Travel Channel or YouTube and search for the higher quality ones. There's a lot of people that ripped really poor quality videos. So definitely find one that's playing at normal speed, and you can watch the whole episodes. There are entire seasons that are uploaded. It's a cute, corny show with lots of punny television jokes, and you'll get a small education about the reselling business. And if you're actually interested in becoming a reseller and you want to do it professionally, go to my YouTube and go to other resellers on YouTube, because TV is wonderful and glamorous and we're traveling. But from a business standpoint, if you watch TV, you're going to go broke real quick. So if you want to learn how to do it professionally, you really got to put the time in.
Cool. And speaking of putting the time in, and you mentioned high quality, I total vibe that you give off, even when you're giving me suggestions, is you never skimp out. You're always like, Paul, get the gear you need, get this, fix the background. But and that's a really, you kind of inspire me to don't settle for, don't put the bar low, put the bar high. And, I really think that you kind of carry that into all the different areas of your life. And also me, like we've had a handful of conversations, but I feel like every time I walk away from a conversation, I'm like, man, I gotta work harder. And in a good way. And I really think that you have a great way of motivating people. And we even talked about that as you almost come across in a way as like a motivational speaker in a way.
So I'm currently an aspiring life coach, and what I will share with you, Paul, we have a saying: how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm. I like
and also, they will also say, if you're not embarrassed by your first YouTube video, you waited too long. If you look at your first YouTube video and you're like, that's amazing, in a couple of years from now, then you waited too long. You waited till you had the right equipment.
I'm already thinking that though, Mark. I already look at it. I'm like, I got to redo my intro, but that's okay, right?
You don't. Honestly, content trumps production. So you can have the best production ever. You could have PowerPoint slideshows. You could have it all. If the content isn't there, it's not going to perform well, no matter how good it looks. So my intention, and this is how you know this is true. Go to YouTube. Some of the highest volume hits and some of the best channels don't necessarily have the best production value, but they certainly provide value for their viewers. And then eventually they're able to scale into paying more money for lights and cameras and editing and
all the bells and whistles and all that stuff, right? But I got to add on to that. And I think that the most important thing is being genuine and authentic, right? I think being online and social media, and we can talk a little bit about this because I know you've had a lot of experience with your different pages and the following that you've gained over the years. I find that from the experts and the people I hear from, that the most important thing is to be congruent, be true to how you feel in the moment. Don't put on this mask that everything is always wonderful and great. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts on that are vulnerability can be a superpower. Mm-hmm. And most men, at least I grew up in a very male household. Yeah, most men were like, hoorah. And for years I would put up a front. And then I actually learned that accessing vulnerability was way more powerful than pretending everything's all right. So I actually did a vulnerable share this year on my Instagram, and I showed a photo of myself in probably the beginning or the end of a breakdown, and I was visually upset, and I just spoke honestly and said, look, I'm having a rough time the last couple months, and you wouldn't know that if you looked at my Instagram, and I'm being authentic. And these are the 10 things that I do to pull myself out of a dark moment. And I talked about exercise, eating healthy, rest, reaching out for support, calling like my best friends and telling them, hey, I'm going through a rough time, like make me laugh, like let's hang out. and asking for support and being vulnerable is actually something a powerful person would do, a confident person would do. And I'm very grateful that I've had the ability to be vulnerable, and I absolutely think it's a superpower.
No, I agree. And I think, for me personally, growing up with a lot of strong female figures, my aunts, my mom, and all the past relationships I've had, I don't think I'd be the man today if I wasn't for the strong feminine energy. And I think it is masculine being able to, it's almost like a painter, right? You want to have that palette. You want to have as much access to all the colors, right? And you can look at that all aspects of emotion, of expression. And we live in a world where we're too closed off to these other emotions. We're limiting ourselves. And you're somebody, I can tell, you don't like to be limited. You don't want to be told no. You don't want to be held back. And I really respect it about you. And even for myself, I don't want to be held back on how I can express myself.
And to add on, what I love about that, if you don't want to be held back to express yourself, by you expressing yourself, and when I express myself, it gives permission to other people to also express themselves. And that's something I've only learned recently, and I'm loving it. And I never know how far that will go. I never know who I'm going to touch. I never know how far the ripple effect may go by putting on a smile and being genuine and authentic with someone. And I've found a lot of superpower in that.
Yes. And you've shown me that, and you reached out and supported me a lot over the short period of time. And I'm very thankful for that. Speaking of being expressive, being thrifty, being crafty. This is a great time for people. We were talking a little bit about this before we started filming. I want to hear what you think as someone who's dabbled in a lot of different businesses. You're a creative guy. You always got different ideas going. How do people use this time and be productive? I know you made some jokes beforehand of how people will come out of this experience, but I want to hear from you with all the things that you've dabbled in. What are some of your advice or tips or suggestions to kind of help people get through this kind of challenging time, especially young entrepreneurs?
So for one, the game's changed and you get to change too. So if you're trying to do business how you were 2 months ago, it's just not going to work in the same fashion. So be creative, be reactive, and then be proactive.
Proactive.
So, also figuring out what's working and what's not working has been something that's really been supportive for me. How I would encourage entrepreneurs in this new space is to definitely be digital. We're acknowledging physical distancing laws right now. So we get to be in this new space of digital. I would set up your office as we've been talking about. And if you're financially struggling through this, there's a lot of opportunity with SBA loans right now at 3.75%. The Small Business Administration's giving out millions and millions of dollars to businesses that are struggling. So I would ask for support from the SBA to get you by. In addition, if you're looking to raise money, that's something I could help you with. There are lots of things around your home, and I can bet right now, if you're watching this, you have at least 3 to 5 things in your home, closet, drawer, that aren't doing you anything, that are worth between $30 and $100 a piece. That camera you got 3 years ago that you picked up twice, the laptop you're not using, the iPhone 5, the iPhone 8 that you're not using anymore, the necklace that broke in 8th grade that's made out of gold.
The snowplow you used once, or my aunt just sold one online for that. It's the same thing.
There's a ton of items that you can sell and that are desirable on eBay right now, as well as other marketplaces. So if you need to raise some capital in this space of the pandemic and you're waiting on these checks to arrive, and you think about what you own in your space that you could liquidate. And if you're interested in doing eBay, you can easily learn how to do eBay in a matter of a day or two. Most of my listers, I teach them in about 1 to 3 days, a very rigid type of how we list here. But the average person, if you're not looking for perfect, you could learn in a day. You could do it on your cell phone. You could do it with a tablet, and it'll go pretty quick. So that's my recommendation. Post offices are open. They're allowing people to work from home. If you're a single occupant business, you're allowed to be considered essential. If you're not interacting with customers, if you're a tech department, if you're a stay-at-home, if you're someone that's sewing at home and it's a single person business, you're allowed to be open in New York right now.
Interesting. Do you see a lot of people adapting the right way? Are you seeing a lot of businesses and you're just like, what are you doing? You got to learn to adapt. Is it hard for you to sit back? Because you're the type of guy where you make things work. You can find ways within your own business. Do you find people are struggling?
I find people are struggling, but they're not necessarily doing something right or wrong. It's really what's working for that person. What works for one business may not work for another. The companies that are selling, like the landscaping company up the block, the nursery, I'm not sure how they're going to go about it, but there are creative ways. They could easily be placing orders. They could do digital catalogs. They could do walkthroughs. Yes. You can go on their, you should be able to go on their Instagram and be like, all right, these are the 5 plants. These are the 5 trees we have for sale. Delivery is 100, and you should be able to order those things, because as long as you're abiding in this space of laws and you're being mindful to that, a lot of businesses still can operate. Real estate agents are doing virtual tours without human interaction. It's a perfect way to operate in this new environment. And whatever it is for you, be creative, because we have technology that has never existed before, and we get to use it. I mean, think about how many people got to be professional Zoom users in a year from now. So
I'm filming you. Say hi. No, and I just got to add, speaking of, Gary Vee, and I know you like his stuff and others, he talks about pivoting, and meaning you got to adjust. You got to learn to roll with the punches. And this is a big experience that we're all kind of collectively experiencing together. And just to mention, this month I've been, as a speaker, only been doing it since November. And that's around the time that I started this podcast. And this month I had my first month where I get 2 paid gigs while also going to school and doing other stuff. But of course this happens. And instead of canceling my talk and being like, oh, we'll get you when this clears up, they had me edit and film a video. Luckily, I'm like you, and I have equipment and I'm ready to roll with the punches and make it happen. And then the other gig, I am going to be doing an interactive Zoom call. So I agree with you. You need to find ways to adapt and not say, oh, well, I just give up because what am I going to do? Because there are ways, to make things work.
And and the possibilities are really endless right now, with the exception of meeting people in physical form.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about, we live in a wonderful society with fast internet, video connections. I feel like you're right here.
Fist bump.
And fist bump.
Ow, right? Mark, that was a little hard, dude. I said
Yeah. So there's a lot of possibilities with business, and I would really encourage everyone, what are you going to do with your time? How are you going to make this the best month of your life? I know I have projects at home that I've put off, and I'm committed to doing them.
You?
Yeah. Even me.
You don't get the light bulb for that. You don't get
no. Things like, working out every single day. All right. That's been in my space. And when I'm busy and I'm moving and I'm going out and I'm seeing friends, that's not in my space. I'm committed to having a 6-pack in a month, Paul.
All right. Let's
6-pack.
Let's have accountability buddies, you and I. And I'll be honest, Mark, that's good because I've been slacking. So we should start a text message where every day, like, would you work out? What'd you do today?
So I'm going to invite you to something else. I'm going to invite you to a WhatsApp exercise group that I'm in that does accountability with everyone. And they do daily Zoom exercises, usually at 9:30 in the morning. So a bunch of people log on and we all work out together. We do body weight. So no one has like any weird issues with, he has weight, I don't have weight. It works. It's all body weight, and I'm dropping weight and I'm getting lean.
Ooh.
Summertime is coming, and eventually they're going to let us out of this zoo. So I'm excited about it happening for us.
Well, even before we were recording, we were doing some push-ups and stretching and doing stuff. So I really appreciate your message of just being crafty and working with what you got. What other, you're somebody that I could talk to for a freaking 24-hour marathon podcast. You never know, one day, maybe. That's actually one thing I want to do, a marathon podcast. But what else?
I'll sign up for an hour. I don't know if I could talk for 24. That would be a big day for me.
You're a busy guy. What other advice now, not even speaking about this epidemic and what we're going through now, what advice do you have for the average millennial entrepreneur who might be interested in things you're doing, I'm doing, but is fearful about taking that first few steps? They get that pressure from their parents, go to school, stay in the structured this, follow this path, follow the family path, just get your degree, play it safe. What is your advice to that individual?
To the young entrepreneur, I would say where you want to go is more important than how you're going to get there. That the journey and the destination are connected, but they're not. How you arrive at your destination of becoming a podcaster or a radio host or a TV host may not look how you imagine. However, keep at it. And the truth is, most people fail because they give up, not because their idea wasn't worth it or they didn't put enough time in. Most time, the only way your idea fails is if you really give up on it. And most people quit 1 to 2 years in because they're not seeing immediate gratification. And anybody who's been in it long enough knows, stand-up comics, actors, everybody, it takes a long time for that to show up. Anybody who's been doing it long enough knows it's a bumpy road. So my message for you would be to, one, get an accountability coach. If you're serious about it, invest in yourself and put in energy. Don't half-ass it. Like, really if you're committed, make committed actions. Make a deadline. A dream that's written down on a paper becomes a goal. And when you start hitting those checkpoints and you start breaking down a goal into step-by-step process, those really start to show up in your life. And just by identifying that you want to be, making 100,000, or you want to do this, and you want to be a speaker, you want to be an actor, once you declare that, things are going to show up in the space. And don't lose your vision. It's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen next year. And it's not one of my favorite things. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, and they drastically underestimate what they could do in a decade.
Wow. That's true. I can resonate so much with what you said. And even just the journey I've been on since November doing this podcast, the changes have been mind-boggling. Like even month by month, if you would have showed me where I'd be now doing these Zoom calls, how the sets, how I met you, I would be like, no freaking way. I'm even more excited. And what's crazy is even when I started my non-for-profit and I'm doing this podcast, there was always two types of people, right? When you want to do something good, there's that person that's like, oh, that's great, but are you going to get insurance? What if somebody gets hurt? Are you going to make money? And those people just don't get it. And then you got the other people that are like you. They're very supportive. They want to help you. And looking back on my journey, seeing that people like you have been so supportive and amazing, you're the type of person that makes it worth it, because it's people like you that are like, you got this, you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path. And to see people like you that have been successful and you haven't been afraid to fail and be vulnerable, like you said, I think that is so important. Because for me, and I think a lot of people, they look at entrepreneurs and people who are successful and they kind of put them on a pedestal. And I know I did that. And I'm like, wow, I don't think I could ever get to that point. Or it seems so like it's like being an adult. It's like, oh my God, like that's the real world. And did that ever did you face that early in your career in doing this, or did you have a lot of support systems in place?
So my first year I made maybe 10,000, 12,000 working full time. Maybe my next year I made maybe 18, and then I made 30, 40, 60, and it went up. I was grateful that I stayed home during college. I graduated with 50,000 in debt, which is low for New York and many of my colleagues. And I was grateful that I was able to bite my dignity and stay at home, bite my ego and calm it down, and stay at home for as long as possible. And most people, especially in New York, will tell you, stay home as long as possible.
I'm home right now. This is not my house.
Yeah. And allow that extra space so that I could eat dirt for a year or two to get good. Because I knew the light at the end of the tunnel was I was going to make money eventually. The challenge is when you're starting out and you're buying camera equipment and laptops and you're putting money back in, it takes a while. So like, be patient, be urgent about your commitments, and be patient in how it shows up, because you don't know who you're going to interview, what's going to show up in the space that all of a sudden one day it pops.
Absolutely.
So that's really what we're all working towards, is to have that show up in the space like that. So be patient. Hard work and a good business plan is gonna really take some time, as well as I absolutely highly recommend a coach.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have a lot of mentors and coaches, but I think, getting more legit scheduled coaching would be a good idea. And I think this would be a cool opportunity. Are we allowed to talk about the other thing that we've been doing? Are we allowed to talk about that on the podcast?
What?
About yeah.
Yeah. So I'm part of a leadership and an altruistic community. Let me take that again. I'm part of a learning center in New York City called Altru Center, and we do altruistic and leadership workshops in the city. And I got involved about a year and a half ago, and I went from a student, and now I'm a senior, which means that I support new students in the program. And it's really supportive to be able to explore with awareness and be compassionate, and have coaches and people in your life that are rooting for you, and even rooting for me more than it's some of the tightest family I've ever had. And I'm excited about that. And Paul is going to be doing a workshop called Virtual Awareness, and it's really going to support people in this new space that we're in of virtual reality and Zoom, and being able to do a explorative workshop that really identifies and supports people with vision. What's your vision for what you want to create in this world? And then how are you going to go about doing that? And it really helped me let go of a lot of my fear and step into a conversation of abundance. And it's been a real shift in my life, and I've been optimistic and enthusiastic about the program. And I'm excited about what we can create.
No, I went for that free first time try, just a little kind of taste of what you guys do. And I fell in love with it. I love the people I got to interact with. The speaker was amazing, the person who led it. And then, to get the opportunity to come back to do that next month, I'm excited. I'm excited to look at what I'm going to learn and discover about myself, and, what doors are going to be unlocked for me. And it just seems more importantly like a good group of people that are going after their goals and that they're passionate about helping people. And what's cool is it's people that are not just in it for themselves. You can tell that when they're interacting with you, that they also want to unlock the potential within yourself. I think that's important.
Yeah. In terms of like when you share a vision with someone or you share something, like you really, at times it's important to guard that vision because not everybody's ready to hear what you want to create. When you tell it to someone who's passionate about self-worth and they are accomplishing things, they're most likely going to receive your vision and be like, yeah, you should do that. And if you tend to be surrounded by people who are telling you you can't do it, you can't do it, what it is they're really saying, I can't do it. And they don't think anybody else can either.
It's a projection in a way, yeah.
Yeah, it's a projection of their own inner self beliefs, and how they treat others is generally how they treat themselves. So, when I first met you and you were talking all, about the People's Podcast and everything else, if you remember, I was like, yeah, you should do that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what happens when you get into space with leaders and people that want to create. Because when your ideas come out like that, they're like, yeah, actually, you should do that. And I have some people that could help you.
Amazing.
And that's who I want to surround myself with. So catch me in the DM box, I'm Paul, and we'll make something happen. And also, I'm from Long Island. So we're both from Long Island. And
Long Island local.
Yeah, I grew up in Suffolk and I live in Nassau now. So,
You went over to the other side?
I went over to the other side. I crossed the border. I crossed the Suffolk-Nassau border.
All right. Well, when this all clears up, we're gonna get you in the studio. We're gonna hug you, give you the biggest hug. Hopefully, it's safe by then. But listen, man, I could have you on for hours. Like I said, I know you pretending that you can't talk for that long, but I think you got a lot of wisdom, and I really appreciate, look at you as a friend, a mentor, but more importantly, I think you're just a genuine, down-to-earth guy that is trying to better all the people around them, and especially the people that are open. And I think that's why we connected, because we're both open to improving ourselves. We're good at taking feedback, taking criticism, and being vulnerable, like we talked about. So before we head out, and like I said, we're going to have you back on again. Where are the different places that people can follow you and support you?
So Instagram, it's at Mark Meyer here. And YouTube at Mark Meyer here are the big ones. Facebook as well. Basically, my name is Mark Meyer, and here is a nice addition where they used to call us on TV set, and they used to go, Mark Meyer here, and basically that handle got created. And you can search that and you'll find everything. Facebook, Twitter. Cool. I'm currently working to produce some valuable tools for some followers, including some popular brand recognition. We have we're working on some travel photos and we're working on something called Sunset Sundays, Motivational Monday post, as well as Friday we're posting all our best finds. We've found some really wild and crazy things over the years, and y'all get to see that.
Oh, cool. I look forward to sharing and posting any of that stuff. Is there anything that you want to share with the viewers before we head out? Any words of wisdom, any thoughts, any advice?
Yeah, I'm going to leave y'all with a question. We're in the middle of a pandemic right now. How are you going to create an environment in this space that you can say in a year from now, hey, that pandemic actually served me? So whether that's working out, eating healthy, connecting with your family, doing projects around the house, how can you utilize this time that it serves you? All right. Read a book, better yourself. And I look forward to our next podcast.
Perfect. Mark, thank you. You're definitely pushing me to be the best version of myself. You know I love you, man. Sending lots of good vibes and lots of love. And to the viewers, he will definitely be back on soon. So look forward to that. Peace
Thanks,
out.
man. Peace out. We just wrapped out our People's Podcast. And I suggest working with Paul. We got great messages as well as positivity and offering local entrepreneurs, business owners, a nice spot in the spotlight to work with some local podcasters. So that's my invitation, and I think you should definitely check it out.